Okay. Mic check, mic check. Hello, everybody, and good evening.
Yan check. Hello, everybody. How are you?
That could be our new intro. Oh,
We're very sensible. How's our volume?
I think our volume is fine. Well, it
Why have I got
looks...
so many chins. Hello, everybody. It's wonderful to see you. Happy November. I hope you all had a wonderful Halloween if you do things for Halloween, or a wonderful Sunday if you don't.
I had a very quiet evening in. Everybody but one person, including me, was out. So we watched Cruella, the film.
Oh.
It was actually quite funny.
Yeah, I've not seen it. I had a very quiet door because trick-or-treaters don't come to your front door if your house, for some reason, doesn't have one. My house does not have a front door; it only has a back door.
I'm kind of glad that
people
respect the whole, if you've not got the lights on, then don't come and knock.
Well, Halloween isn't really a thing in the UK. I mean, not as a, dress up and go door to door doing trick-or-treating. It's a much bigger thing in the States.
Yeah. I mean, my kids are all excited about it, and it's just... You're just excited about getting sweets, aren't you? Not the dressing up. I'm like, well, I could buy you a box of sweets so we can stay in and watch a film.
Yeah, but you're not supposed to just buy them a box of sweets like that.
But sweets, I said carrot batons and hummus. Enjoy.
Okay, so this is going weird. Why don't we talk about what we've done this week? So, Michael, would you like to go first?
Yes, I've done lots of work on LMMS. We should be gearing up now to release towards the end of the week to the general peoples, which is good, and we'll make sure everything's there. We've got... Editing-wise, we're midway through Section 2. So those are in edit at the moment, and they'll be coming out during the week this week. And I've already got some people sharing their work, so that's fantastic. Yep. And it's just drum beats at the moment, and it's kind of key when you start.
Yeah, they're a lot of fun.
When you're just starting off, I mean, it is all about playing and having fun. They call it playing an instrument for a reason. You know, it's got to be fun. And I even demonstrate in one of the lectures, happy accidents, I just randomly clicked in places. And yes, okay, I can randomly click kind of in the right place anyway, but there was a genuine, we're just going to put some random notes in, and it was like, that's a pretty cool rhythm. We'll keep that one. Good evening. How are you doing?
Hello there. So yeah, that's very exciting. I got a new build out. In fact, we got I usually leave the major builds until we show you guys, but it was basically getting the weapon system working. So a magic weapon and a primary and a secondary thing. I released that, and Mikey did a quick video. But Mikey, do you want to show it off on the stream?
I'm gonna have to push some buttons, so please
push some buttons. But yeah, so we now have magical weapons. These are all very placeholder, and they are not balanced. Hello, Governor. They are not in any way balanced. They are massively overpowered. But when I start moving into a class-based system, so where the player and the NPCs can be a specific class, the specific class has access to specific weapons, and when we get to armor, it'll be a little easier to balance. I'm also going to change it so that NPCs with magic weapons don't run all the way up to you with them and do them from afar.
They're a bit suicidey at the moment. Yeah. I've hidden my OBS. Please hold technical difficulties.
Boop, boop, boop. So yeah, I was very happy with the way I got the secondary attack working. The firewall, I've been playing with particles enough now that I could just make it and not have to play around too much. Like I knew which buttons to push without having to look up anything. And it was good. Oh, you've got a thing up there. I can't see it on my screen here, but I can see it 30 seconds ago. Ooh,
there we go.
It's glitchy.
It is a bit glitchy at the moment.
Why is it glitchy?
I'm to render Blender at the same time as running a 3D program, but there we go. Let me just kill this frame. Boop. There we go. That should tidy that up.
I mean, I've been rewatching Mr. Robot, so maybe I'm just about to change
maybe
plot lines.
Oh, Godot isn't responding.
This is our most professional stream yet.
Well, it's a live stream, but I'm going to push this button here so you can entertain them while I'm fixing this.
Oh, you fixed it.
I know, right? It's called Sod's Law. There we go. Let's go back to it. So I can do this by just jumping into game and playing.
So here we are
Nice.
in the world, and we've seen this a few times. So currently, the magic weapon, there's one inside the main dungeon at the starter chest, and one at the foot of the stairs in the
Boys.
procedural dungeon. I like the voids. The voids are fun. While we're doing this, we don't really have a topic for this one, but if you guys have any questions or thoughts, also, after we've shown you this, I will talk a little bit about the Godot Jam 2, which is just opening today, the whole festival, and I think it's 2 weeks before the actual game jam part.
So we now have a scepter that you can equip, which is a sparkly ball on a stick.
I do like the sparkles. Like if you zoom into the actual ball, they put a little particle effect around the thing.
And it does have an area of effect. It's essentially a grenade launcher. But
And
this,
a flamethrower.
yes, there is this other mode, which is pretty awesome. Let's just attract everybody's attention. Go nope. Zoom out just a
Good
little. Whoosh. But that attack does use all of your stamina, so it is risky. Look at that.
And you can only do it if you have full stamina. That's kind of fun.
Oh, yeah, that's got to be the screenshot for one of the thumbnails. Have it?
You weren't at full stamina.
Nope. But that is really satisfying.
So as you can see, it's ridiculously overpowered.
Yes.
But it's a good start for a magic system. Dead centipede.
Have we got any of... Because last time, a load of them had magical weapons.
Well, it's randomized.
I know, right?
Do.
I just want to see the suicidal ones again. Any of you lot? One of you's got it. Right, you three, come with me. Ah, hello. do. Come on and do the conga. Do.
Why did you go to War of the Worlds there?
I don't know.
Oh, you fluffed it.
I did. But I can stand here and they'll just kill themselves. Maybe.
Will they? Will they?
No! He was stood off just to the side. Moving swiftly on. I'm glad it worked out well. So yeah, it's completely changed how I play the game. Yeah. I'm a big fan of ranged weaponry anyway when it comes to this style of game. So I'm all in at this point. It's so much more enjoyable for me as a player because that's the play style I enjoy.
So my thinking with the mage users is to give them a lot less health points and a decent amount of stamina, which is going to be a blessing and a curse.
Yes, because when you run out, it's going to take a lot longer.
Exactly. Hello, Colin. So their weapons are going to be much scarier for you. And when they're doing range, you're going to have to figure out how you're going to deal with it. Are you going to dodge and not be able to do a massive attack? Are you going to hide around a corner? Are you just going to sit there and take it? Are you going to use a skelly potion? But yeah, it's starting to look good. We should talk about the Godot Jam 2, which is very satisfying to say. And I keep wanting to say Godot Jam. But you can head over to the Godot Jam webpage, which I am putting up about now.
So you've got, is it next week? Is the
yes.
Jam? Yeah.
Well, they haven't actually announced these yet, I don't believe. But I'll check on that.
Yeah, heard it here first.
Today. Yep. But yes, I am booked up for 2 Godot live streams.
Ooh.
And I'm very excited about them. In fact, let's go take a quick look. Do we have the events yet? Do. Oh, yep, they're up. Awesome. So yes, this time next week we'll be doing the Make Godot Pretty Party. It was going to be the Pretty Perfect Particles Party, but Play with Fursifer are doing a particles thing too,
Oh.
and it just felt like we'd be doing two people doing particles. So that's silly. Um, and then later in the month, I'll be doing a 45-minute game jam challenge, which is like the hour game or 30-minute game jam challenge we did last time, but slightly longer, where I will attempt to make a very simple, silly little game.
So what's with the dates then, Jan? We've got next week is the Making Godot Pretty stream.
And the other one is November
20 something.
Yes.
Cool.
I'll remember that later at the time. Look, you can't expect me to be smart and look this good.
That's true.
So yeah, it's very exciting. A lot of people are joining in. There's a lot of very cool events and live streams and things and a prize and merch.
Prizes.
They're selling t-shirts now. Prizes.
Nice. Were there prizes last time?
There were. In fact, we donated some of them.
Yes, that's right. I remember now.
Also, just before this stream, I finally finished the thing I started this morning that took way longer than I thought it was going to take because I haven't actually recorded a lecture since I moved to Linux, so I had to reset everything. But I recorded a split screen in Godot 3.x video, which you can find on this channel, but I can also get a link to it for you guys.
I was just about to jump and find a link, but yep, if you're on it, you're on it.
Link, right? It's longer than I was expecting it to be. It's a 22-minute video, but I basically take you from setting up the movement controls and setting up the split screen. I do it in 2D, the same system will work in 3D. But there you go. So I've got a bunch of links. So that's my things this week that I have to talk about.
Nice. I have been playing with Blender 3. So Blender 3 has just gone into beta. Which means hopefully things won't change too much before its launch in the first week of December, I think its plan is.
Oh, that's pretty soon.
And then 3.1 is going to tidy up all the things that they were going to include but decided not to in 3. But I've been playing a lot with Cycles X, which is the new Cycles rendering engine, and it is a lot quicker than Cycles is. So I think this is going to make lower-end machines far more, or Blender far more accessible on low-end machines. And I've also been playing around with the new geometry nodes, because the new geometry nodes have switched over to fields. And it takes a while to wrap your head around it. I am busy in the background at the moment, hence the glitches, rendering something out. It's very similar to something I rendered out for Godot Getaway, but that was using the modifiers stack. And a couple of weeks back, we were talking about the modifier stack and how it is kind of an evolution. Geometry nodes is kind of an evolution of that. And whereas the modifier stack, everything matters, the order matters. So if you subdivide something before beveling it, it's different between beveling it before subdividing it. But you only have that linear pattern.
Yep.
But with geometry nodes, you can do those sorts of things and loop back and do things in lots of different ways and different orders. And that opens up a whole world of possibilities. So I've been playing around with a building. Nice and simple building. It doesn't look much like a building at the moment. But now I can stretch things. In fact, once it's... I think I can just show it, actually, on the screen. I think that'll be an easy way. Give me a few seconds whilst I pause this.
Sorry, I just got to answer this question.
That's fine.
We've actually got our very first question all lined up from Ahmed. Thank you, Ahmed. If people want to line up any other questions that we can answer or just guess about while Mikey plays with buttons. But yeah, I want to wait till Mikey's got that up so we can actually pay attention to the question rather than half-ass it.
Right, I need to push the right buttons now and then I can get us on. So brilliant. So main screen, there we go, and then you can see as well. So we have a little building here. I haven't finished working on the three-dimensionality of it, so we can look at it from the front like this. And I've just keyed in all of the nodes to play with. So I was just creating a little animation. So that's just expanding the size of the building. And it is actually a square building, so it will build out in a giant square block. But my plan is to play with that and see if I can get it expanding on the X and Y independently. maybe even different shapes, but the maths is not strong in this one. It took me ages to get this working. So as it expands, it fills in the gaps. Obviously, there will be gaps because there are no filler pieces. It doesn't stretch at all. So you have to expand in units of whatever the modular size is. In this case, it's 2 meters. But then we can build it up. We can come across.
Whee!
And bring it back down again. So this is going to be fully customizable. I'm going to be playing with adding things to the building as well. So of some of the windows, there will be some aircon units or curtains or balconies. Perhaps balconies on any doors that are above a certain level.
Maybe an elephant peeking out.
I like all these red suicide doors. There's just a door on the 4th floor.
Yeah, they're pretty good. Welcome to the Parkour Academy. Graduation is on the top floor.
Yep. But yeah, I think that's the sort of height building that I'll be going for, something along those lines. And I'll also experiment with putting other things on the top. Maybe like in New York, perhaps a couple of gardens or a water tower or more air conditioning units if it's more of a industrial building. Just a very simple 3 mesh. That's all there is in this. There's 4. There's a corner mesh, there's a straight piece, there's a window piece, and there's a door piece. Just for playing around with.
I mean, you could also make a walkway on any floors that aren't the bottom one. And then you don't have to worry about the doors.
Just put ladders down, it's fine. I'm an architect.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's that. I've been playing with that today. I've been meaning to get into nodes, specifically geometry nodes, for the last long time, and it's just taken a while to get into it, and I'm really enjoying it now. So
that's awesome.
It does have its downsides. When it comes to procedural generation, this applies somewhat to the action RPG as well. Mm-hmm. So procedural generation isn't the be and end all of everything, because it can actually slow you down quite a bit as well.
Yep.
So I could use procedural generation to generate all the sub-assets, then use procedural generation to have those sub-assets into buildings, and then make those buildings, and then make more buildings as well from those. But that's a bit silly when you can mock up a couple of pieces and then just use procedural generation to put them together. That's far quicker and not only a far better use of your time, but also a far more realistic use of your time. If you were actively doing this sort of project, you probably wouldn't use procedural generation for all the little bits. You'd use them to scatter little bits, things like, on the larger scale, putting the air conditioning units in some windows, perhaps having some windows having curtains on, some not, some balconies, all those sort of things.
I mean, honestly, I think
scattering.
The key is, don't think of procedural generation as a shortcut for time.
Oh no, it can be a complete time sink.
Yeah, it's not, because you were saying, it's not actually quicker. Be careful when you're using procedural generation, thinking I'll develop this algorithm to make my level, my mesh, my whatever, because it'll save me time. Well, it won't, because getting that system right may take you as long or longer. That's not why you do it.
What it's really good for is curating content. So you can put together a ton of content, different landscapes and things like that, let's say, and then just pick the best one. Or use procedural generation to scatter things amongst your world. Or
just decide you want to make sure that every level is going to be random within this set of rules, and then you can have a huge variety of levels. Although you have to accept that if your algorithm isn't perfect, some of them might be bugged.
Yes.
So there's a lot of good reasons to play with procedural generation, but saving time isn't one of them.
I had an interesting moment earlier when I was putting the building together. I had all of the pieces all separated, so they were all individual, but they were being put all over the place. So I ended up with what looked more like a city block made out of individual pieces. It looked interesting, it just didn't look like the thing I was trying to create.
Okay, let's answer some questions, because Ahmed asks, sorry if off topic, not off topic. Will there come a time when AAA companies will consider people who use free and open source tools, for example, Godot and Blender, as professional as those who use commercial tools, for example, Unreal and Houdini? Michael Middle Name Bridges, what's your thoughts on this?
It's an interesting question. A lot of AAA studios have their own bespoke versions of software and own bespoke tooling as well. So what really matters is things like a decent portfolio showing the types of things that that company you're wanting to work for. It fits their style, it fits their ethos, essentially. There would be no real sort of like things being held back. The fact is that you've developed a game is worth more than, say, a piece of paper with, I've learned Unreal, I've learned Godot. It's the end product that really matters. And that's very true when it comes to your portfolio. You wouldn't put absolutely everything in. You'd put one or two very key, let's say it was artwork, you'd put key artwork in that fits the style of the studio you want to go and work with. Now, will there time when AAA companies... AAA is, and I'm sure Jan will chime in a moment with, it's a choice, it's an aesthetic choice. AAA to me really means you've got a very, 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 very big budget.
Well, let's take AAA as a genre out, because I think the question really is about the expensive tools like Maya, ZBrush, Houdini.
I think the fact is when it comes to tools, you use the appropriate one for what you're doing at the moment. So Blender has a compositor. It has a simulation engine. It uses Mantra. Now, would you use them in industry? The probable answer at the moment is no, because there are better tools for the job. Now, sculpting, there is ZBrush, but Blender is very, very good. Especially now it's had a lot of updates to it, which make it very responsive, even when you've got millions of polygons. So suddenly this argument that, well, Houdini, you can do much more detailed sculpts in, doesn't hold true anymore. And the fact that if you can sculpt in one tool and you can do amazing sculptures, if you had to switch over to something like ZBrush, you're not going to have a challenge doing so. It would be like someone giving you a different pencil to the one you use on a daily basis. Wouldn't really make a ton of difference because you've already got and have developed the skills to sculpt.
There's also, it takes a while for free and open source tools to get on par with expensive professional tools. And one of the main reasons is they're community driven, right? So whereas, for instance, Godot has full-time staff working on it and it works on subscription, a lot of the development is done by people contributing to the code or contributing to the documents, which is great and it has a lot of advantages. But it is very hard to keep pace with something like Epic Games, who can set aside a budget and a timetable, and people just work on this as their day job, and they don't have to worry about, I don't have time to work on this because I've got to make rent. This is how you're making rent. So there's that part of it. But once they catch up, they tend to be very good. The other big problem is, and this is less true for Godot, and it used to be true for Blender, but it isn't as true now, is free and open source software often really struggles with the user interface and can be very hard to get into. I mean, I remember earlier versions of Blender where the user interface was just...
Right, click, select anybody?
I mean, you needed a course just to learn the UI.
Yeah.
A great example of this would be Audacity, which is actually being revamped right now. But it's not a pretty program, and it's not easy. I didn't even know there was a spectrograph view. Did you know there's a karaoke view in Audacity?
A karaoke view?
There is!
On the point of different bits of software like that, the other thing that's often overlooked is a big studio. It's not just about free and open source. This applies to anything. If you have 10 employees, let's say, that's a small studio, and they've all learnt, let's say, Maya or any other tools, then you've probably spent a lot of money on training them. You may have even spent a lot of money in bespoke plugins. Because the other thing that Maya, especially in the larger studios, they actually have bespoke plugins. They have a call line as well. Hey, this thing that I'm trying to do isn't working. It's crashing Maya. That you get an engineer that actually comes and helps you. So there is this kind of support network behind it that hobbyists and indie developers can't afford in general, and often don't want. They they often enjoy the
But
problem
this
solving.
reminds me of like the Unreal versus Godot thing that someone was asking about a few months back. Is there a time when I would suggest using Unreal? Yes, if you're in a very large team, Unreal is designed to work with a team of 50 people, for example, all with very specialized skills working in this area and going. If you're working in a smaller team, Godot is fantastic, right? Free and open source tools typically tend to skew towards the hobbyist or the people who like using free and open source, who tend to not have big budgets and work in small groups. Not entirely, like the Sonic Colors Ultimate.
Hmm.
Just keep adding words to it. Sega is not a small company. It's a good engine for what they want to do with that. So, will there ever come a time where people see it as professional? I think Blender is being taken more seriously. I think Godot is being taken more seriously. I think there will be specific tools that have specific advantages. I don't necessarily think they'll replace the higher end budget things. In the same way that GIMP is very good at what it does, but at a professional level, there are some times where you might prefer Photoshop.
Yeah, there are workflows like there are a lot of programs. Unity is a great example that actually read PSD files, including yeah, that's a word now, including all of the layers. So suddenly you don't have to export it as a layered PNG and potentially lose settings, or even just the act of exporting something and not having the raw file open all the time means that there's a chance that someone's got the wrong version loaded up or overwrites the wrong thing. But also the subcontext there that a AAA company will consider a person who uses free and open source tools as not a professional. A professional is just someone who gets paid for their work at the end of the day.
Yeah, if you can
I think this is just
that you have the right mindset, you have the skills,
Yeah.
and you are able to transition those skills to a different program, you'll be fine.
Yeah, this is a trope that just, I don't know where it comes from. It comes from maybe someone snobby once said something.
Well, you and I have both worked with somebody who had a real problem with free and open source software because they thought it was always inherently not as serious. And it's not really the case. I mean, a great example of this would be Linux distributions.
Well,
Right.
yes, the backbone of
Linux
the web.
is a perfectly solid operating system. It's not right for everybody. No. It's not the perfect example, but it's perfectly viable in certain professional contexts.
And there are a lot of people, as G Castro 3D has said, that I know quite a few people on the Blender Nest as well, which is a podcast you should check out. Yes, every one of you. Yeah, there are several people trying to get Blender into their pipeline, into their team. And that's what often happens. You get someone on the team who does use it and takes the risk of getting reprimanded or having to do something else in another program if it's not playing out as it wants to. But once they've demonstrated it in the team, then people are starting to watch. If you're paying £2,000 a year for a license and you can switch over to something that's free, is the 20 on a 10-person team is £20,000 a year? Is that worth the disruption? Because there is going to be a learning period.
Yep.
You switched everybody over, and now there's 6 months of learning to get everybody back up to speed. That's a big risk. For a company,
Gcastro
especially
just
a
make a
small
good
one.
point. If you can get to a point where the programs can accept each other's data in a reliable way, then the pipeline becomes less of an issue.
Yes, USDs, Universal Scene Descriptors. That's the way
US
forward
dollars.
in the future. It's amazing. You can open up a absolutely humongous scene and move things around, and it's just amazing what you can do with a USD.
Well, I've been saying for years that if you want to solve a problem, just throw USDs at it.
Yeah. And no one knew what you meant.
There's a finance joke there for you. Also, hello, Speedy Boy. Hello, Daz. Daz, I'm sorry you had to run and plumb in a dishwasher. I do want to ask: is G Castro 3D? Is that General Castro 3D? Is it Gcastro? Is it GC Astro? How are we pronouncing that?
Oh, yeah, good. I've had a I had a cold last week, and I've got a bit of a sore throat, so I'm just having lots of peppermint tea to help keep my throat going throughout the stream.
Um, Governor says, shouldn't it not matter in the end which tool you use, as long as the engine used supports the format the way you need it? An FBX from Blender is the same as an FBX from Maya. It is. However, a blend file is not a Maya file. So what if I need to tweak it?
Yes, it's just the export file at that point.
By
So,
exporting it, I'm going to
and
be changing the data.
whilst that's right in name,
George
there
Castro.
there have been numerous times throughout Blender's history that an FBX file exported from Blender would not be the same as the same thing as if you made it in Maya and exported it. One thing to remember is it's a proprietary format. It's an Autodesk format, so
I was going
it,
to say, are we using FBX? Are we using GLTF? Are we using DAE?
mhm.
I mean, it wasn't long ago that even Godot, Godot's FBX, what's the word? Importing has
Yeah.
gotten better. It's still not the format I would recommend. I am happy that from 3.4, Godot will be able to export as GLTF, which means I can take a scene made of, let's say, CSG cubes,
Hand it over to me.
export it as a GLTF, hand it to Mikey. Mikey can make the level.
That's phenomenal. I've been bugging Jan for ages. Is there any way we can export this blooming thing so I can just work on it? Because the thing that I can't remember what it was, but it was a very small tweak that would have taken a couple of minutes in Blender to do. I was just like, grumble, grumble.
I think it was one of the bookshelves in the game.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was a good question. I enjoyed the little thing.
Yep.
Mikey, what are you looking forward to the most in Blender 3?
What am I? I think Cycles X, once it's stable, it keeps going black when I'm sort of moving around the viewport. Really, really quick, really awesome because you can actually see what you're working on, and it updates really quickly as you're zooming around, which is incredibly important when you're trying to tweak parameters and see how it affects your scene. For instance, with real lighting being bounced around, if you were to make something more glossy, and it's a red item, it will, or lower the roughness on it, it will reflect red light to the nearby objects, which may change how the scene actually feels. So having that real-time lighting is just awesome. It's amazing how quick it is now compared to how it was previously. And there are even some tools, some add-ons. K Cycles X, there's a very cheap version. It even speeds it up further. I'm just like, wow. I mean, we're talking about render times dropping significantly for the same quality. That's the important thing. There's no point in rendering really, really quick if you get rubbish quality out at the end of it.
Right.
I'm going to draw you an amazing art piece. Done.
Well, it's like the old adage: you can have quick, you can have cheap, or you can have good.
Mm-hmm.
And then it became you can have 2 out of 3.
Yes, pick.
And now it looks like you can get all 3.
Almost.
So that's good. So I got a question for you folks. What's the thing you're looking forward to most in either or and Blender 3 and or Godot 4?
There is, whilst they're typing away.
By the way, to those of you who didn't grow up in Britain, that is the little
Countdown.
jingle from a game show called Countdown. That was the little timer thing.
Dum, 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 dum. It's funny.
That's
I've just sung the BBC news theme. Anyway,
Yeah.
or almost Doctor Who as well. So the other big thing, obviously, with Blender 3 is geometry nodes maturing, and that is going to open up a world of possibilities.
Fine cheese.
Yes, like a fine wine, like a fine cheese,
Cheese
and
wine.
wine. Cheese wine. No,
Cheese wine. No cheese wine.
it's gone off if it's cheese wine.
actually don't know what I'm going to look forward to the most in God of 4. Like, there's so many things that on any specific day it might be. I'm really looking forward to the SDFGI, like the new lighting techniques.
Yeah.
But then it might be the new navigation server and the way that you can flag or you can mark objects as being obstacles. So when they move, navigation will just work around them, or being able to bake navigation at runtime, or the new particle system, or the tweaks being done to GD script so that it becomes GD script 2. There was an article today on the changes they made to shaders, and that looks really awesome. There's all kinds of stuff that I'm really excited about. But I would say right now, the ability to generate sound in Godot.
Music coursing coming, maybe? Bloop, bloop.
Just because I don't know how it would work, but it'd be great.
Yeah,
Like, you could put in a little... You could make... What's the name of that 8-bit generator you can find online to generate sounds for your games, 8-bit sounds for your games? You could make something like that in Godot as an app.
That'd be awesome. You could make your own synthesizer within the game engine, which again would be phenomenal. The thing that I'm looking forward to is rather shallow, and I think it will help Godot tremendously, and that is the new render pipeline. Now you can get Godot 3 already looking quite pretty, but it takes a lot of work. The fact that Godot 4 will be able to do prettiness out of the box and relatively well straight out of the box means that more games are going to look prettier, therefore they're going to appeal to more people. Now, I may be wrong with that, with the appeal thing, but there's definitely something special about... take Unreal, for example. Unreal's a great example of an engine that produces beautiful results out the box when you use all the default stuff. And
If you know what you're doing, sure.
yeah, but it's that general aesthetic that it's just high quality, and I think Godot 4 is going to have a similar high quality aesthetic. Suddenly, when you're rendering a lot of items in the scene, it's going to be more performant. That sort of thing as well will help massively.
Mm-hmm. Roderick's answer is his Godot 4 hype, GDScript 2.0, 3D performance improvement, very much so, lighting, and the new Godot icon. I don't think that... Is there a new Godot icon? I don't... That whole thing became a trash fire. Occlusion culling. Well, I mean, technically that's in 3.4, but occlusion culling, that's going to make a big difference. Putting little occlusion portals down and only generating things in front of the camera.
And make a huge difference to performance.
GDScript 2.0 looks very good. I'm liking the changes they made to setGet. For those of you who don't know, setGet is a variable where when you change it, so whenever a change is made to this variable, we're going to go and run this particular function. Or when something tries to get the value of this variable, go and get the return value from a named function. The problem is you would type the name of the function and then it would be written further down and be separated and feel weird. And now they just put it in the actual variable. So you write the function in the variable.
That's really good.
Much clearer.
Yes, the icon is just for the memes. The lighting engine, that's basically the prettiness factor, the fact that the lighting's got a big overhaul. You can do things.
The prettiness factor, I like the fact that they're changing the sharpness of the lighting. I like the fact that they're adding projectors.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a lot you could do with that. I can't remember if I know particles we're getting ribbon particles, which is very cool. So a particle can have its own trail of things. I can't remember if we're getting light particles or not. I might have dreamt that.
I do like the particles that bounce off of surfaces. That
collision particles.
Collision particles. That's going to open
up. I like
up
the attractors. Being able to attract particles is great. I mean, if
you
you're doing things like...
So I remember playing a game. I mean, I think it was one of the first ever computer games, a black hole, where you had to move around. And I remember playing that as I was little. But you imagine that with actual particles swirling around and coming in.
Well, you'd normally do that with a shader, but yeah. But you could also do like, what are they called? Those Van de Graaff spheres? That's not Van de Graaff generator or something else. But the sphere that we touch it and the lightning goes to your fingers, like that's a thing you could do.
That would be awesome. Could do that scene from Star Wars. I don't know which one it is in.
Was that the pod racer?
Actually, yeah, the bit in between the pod race, you could do that as well. That's fine. Force lightning. Yeah, sky shaders. That's going to help the real world sky,
and the physical sky, with just rotating one or more suns, directional lights, and it'll just handle it.
See, Star Wars again, and you can have more than one sun.
Okay.
Of different colours.
Probably.
Yeah, I can't remember what
multiple
it is.
Suns.
I don't want to embarrass myself with my lack of knowledge.
Tatooine has 2 suns. I remember that. That's 2 weeks running we made a Tatooine reference. We made the Jawa reference last week.
Yes.
He's not encouraging that at all. So yeah, do throw questions our way if you like. I had a thing I wanted to talk about. It's gone. Oh dear, my brain is going.
My brain is fried. It is one of those things when I get a cold, I end up being very sleepy by the middle of the afternoon, and then I do stuff in the evening. Like this will be a complete blur tomorrow.
Yeah, I'm also interested if people are going to be taking part in the Godot Jam 2 Jam, because although it's called Godot Jam, it's actually a month-long festival. So the jam is actually in the second part.
Yeah.
And the links, I posted them a little while back. I'll post them again in a second.
I'll scroll up and do those.
The keynote was today. There's a lot of really cool stuff happening, like some really good creators, and all kinds of good live streams and pre-recorded videos that I really recommend. Nostradamus. Oh, good name. Nostradamus. I like it. Godot 4. I'm looking forward to be able to manipulate 3D bones in Editor without... Yes. I mean... Technically, you can do that now, but it's such a pain. It is such a pain.
Are they not changing the way that inverse kinematics works as well?
Yes, they are.
Because we started using inverse kinematics for Aria in the RPG.
Yeah, when you're using a single-handed weapon, you're moving while you attack. We added a second attack, and then we put some inverse kinematics to draw the blade into the right direction.
But it didn't have as much control as we wanted, so some of the early iterations looked interesting.
Fine. They looked fine.
Fine. It's fine. I need a little button down here that turns our backgrounds to fire. It's fine.
I mean, I've got a green screen if you want to...
Yeah, exactly.
I haven't got it lit properly right now, so you can see like little wrinkles and things, but...
No, I'm not going to. It'd be far too much effort to...
Did we name the toucan?
Well, let's have a look at what people said on the video as well. Right. Our toucan needs a name.
I don't think they named that one. Hello, Melicon. Welcome.
Let's have a look. The comments.
Well, while he's doing that, another question for you fine folks in the watching things, or even if you're in the future in the doobly-doo or in the comments, we have fire weapon in here. What other weapon types would you like to see? I've got some ideas for what I want to put in. What would you like to see?
Trebuchet.
That's not a type of magic.
My bad.
It's a type of engineering, maybe, but.
So on the actual video, we've got Toucan play that game, and Toucanopy, Canopy.
Yeah, ice would be fun. He's gonna sing it.
Dum 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 dum.
I knew it. I was thinking ice. I was thinking gravity.
I'm not bursting into song.
I don't know a song called Gravity, but we could make an area with a strong gravitational point and then set it so that anything that hits the inner collision point of that takes damage.
Yeah, from the musical Wicked, just in case you're interested.
Earth, Wind, Life, Death, Water, Void. I think that's a really weird name for a tribute band for Earth, Wind, and Fire. But if you want to go, yep, those are good. What's a void magic?
It just cancels things as it goes.
Would that be the gravity thing? The dragon drop.
We've upgraded your inventory with the drag and drop.
We could do a spell where you cast it and then two giant cans land on them. The two cans.
Well, like a Monty Python skit.
Yep.
Yeah, that could work quite well. No, are we going to pick a name for the bird this week?
I mean, in the video I just did, I called it Tukey because I couldn't think of a name. We do have the one of the merchants in our prototype named Petey, but although I tried to make that one look like a toucan, it's a penguin.
It's definitely a penguin.
It's a pretty legit penguin, but it's a penguin.
It's a lesser known breed of
It's an
penguin
Arctic toucan.
called a capsule penguin.
We had some people join us who weren't here at the beginning. Mikey, would you like to show off the
I will.
latest prototype for those who haven't downloaded it? This was released Tuesday, I think, as part of our prototype, but we now have an magic weapon. Dum 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 dum. It's definitely a penguin.
I was going to press and there we go. So let's go play game. I will also, after I finish just running around the level, attacking things, I will also load up and show people the procedural stuff as well, just in case there's people
Good
here
idea.
who haven't seen it. It's always...
So here's Petey. That was going to be a toucan. It's not a toucan.
Shiny. Right, let's get to this dungeon. So inside here...
Oh. You have to get up to it first.
Oops. Let's try again.
Wow.
I'm skilled. I've had too much
Are
tea.
you one of the developers? Okay, so we have a scepter, which has a tooltip. Every item in the game has a tooltip.
It's kind of magic. Oof.
Mikey's taking a little bit of damage from being too close to the spell.
Oh, it lingers as well.
Yep.
I'd love a rapid fire.
Did you have to let it linger?
Right, I'm gonna do the gather them all up and see if I can make a conga line again. Do do do. Come on.
The last time we did this, you died.
That's fine. I'm gonna call them to the doorway. No. Yes, I went outside their area. Come on, guys. Do you reckon I could do the entire level?
Nope.
Challenge accepted.
Because you got to do the trap as well.
Oh, that's true. They can't cross the trap.
I think they'll crash if you try.
Well, let's not crash. We got everybody. Come on, boys.
It's great TV.
And then I'm going to show off the mega weapon. So there's 3 in this room.
Mm-hmm. But only because you got the difficulty maxed out.
Yes. So the
Otherwise,
difficulty
it'd be
slider.
randomized.
So this is a completely overpowered weapon. Oh, no, it's not sticky keys. Damn you, Windows. Everybody must go.
If there was ever a time to go to Linux.
What are the odds of that? Just as I'm about sticky keys comes up. One escaped. Where's he gone?
Roderick asks, can you customize the tooltip to fit the game style, or does it use the systems ones? This is in the theme. This is customized to fit.
Yeah.
I just used an easier to read font because when it was that small, the curly whirly one was a pain.
Yeah, it was really difficult to read. So we've got everything in the game does have a tooltip.
You got to go look at all the tooltips.
I am going to go to the main menu, and as promised, go into the procedural test. So this is exactly what you'd see as part of the download on itch.io, which Jan can post.
It's also a lot faster than it was.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I have to post the thing, don't I?
So the scepter's on the floor just here.
It is kind of tragic.
So all of these rooms are generated.
Yes, the scepter will move physical objects, but the barrels are too heavy.
So we've got a nice library, open area here. I do like how sometimes this creates huge corridors.
Mm-hmm.
Another type of library.
Yes. I mean, I want to make a whole bunch more rooms, but...
I found the fabled double door.
Mm-hmm.
Not Dumbledore, but double door.
I want to make a whole bunch more rooms, but it's not really critical right now. There's a bunch of other things I need to be testing, and as a proof of concept, this works fine.
Oh yeah, there's more than enough variation. There's empty room 1. There's barrel room. This is pentagon.
This has a chance of spawning in a chest, but it hasn't done.
Ah, gotcha. Ooh. Sarcophagus room.
You can actually move the lid of the sarcophagus with your spells.
Sorry. The first thing I did when Jan showed me this is I think I obliterated a room. Just like this.
And the fire wall, the wall of fire, the firewall and fireball is quite tricky to say on the microphone, will also move things a little bit further.
It's interesting. It didn't move this. Just remodeling the room. Oh, yes. So if you stand too close to things when it explodes.
Yep.
And there is a timer on it as well. Whilst it's exploding. Oh.
Yes, because I wanted the particles to still be fading.
And it still caused damage. So it's got a bit of a timed area of effect. It's not just when it hits the ground. It's for a few seconds afterwards, or at least a second afterwards. Hey, here we go. Here's a good room. See if I can knock the candle off.
No, the candle is static.
Oh. Bob. Can I pick Bob up? No.
Should be able to. Or they're not. No, I didn't make that one an item. Sorry. You can get the books on that table up there.
Ooh. Oh.
And they all have tooltips.
So this book, Generating Random Book Titles for Egypt, a practical guide for nobody else.
I had too much fun with those.
Yes, and this is how I walk around my kitchen. A classic children's book. 50 Shades of
You might have to read
what?
them out because people might not read the
Fair
tooltips
enough.
on
50 Shades of Graves. Mostly rectangular, admittedly. Then we have, again, 50 Shades of Graves. 50 Shades of Graves. Oh, there's a lot of 50 Shades of Graves here.
It's a popular book.
It is. And yeah. So those are all the books there.
Every weapon also has tooltips, obviously. Basically, I had fun with tooltips. The tooltips are in the item database, so when you make the item, you write the tooltip.
Yes. It's really well thought out, the way that that's all put together.
Thank you.
Now let's move back to us. There we go.
So yeah, it's coming along nicely. I'm looking forward to getting the player and NPC classes in. And then once I've done that, I will tweak the AI for each class of NPC so that the two-handed ones are going to be much more dangerous, and the ranged ones are going to be much more dangerous.
Everything's going to be much more dangerous by the sounds
And
of
I'll
it.
probably tweak the armor values of all three as well.
Yeah. I mean, the ranged ones definitely need to have a further sight range than what they currently have.
What I do want to do though is get some items of clothing or armor or something so you can recognize each type. So, dual wielding heavy weapon NPCs have a chance of certain types of armor or something, and mages might have a hat or a fake false beard
That falls off when they die.
or no, I just went with a wiggly bit, like a soft body.
You want to put soft body beard on the skeletons. Yeah.
And maybe on Arya, I don't know, with little strings around her ears.
Only when she has the green potion.
Oh no, which is a mage.
Ah. Pointy hat. I think that could be a thing.
Pointy hat could be a thing.
Definitely. That could be part of the clothing customization.
So we are now at 7:55, which means we've been going for just under an hour. So it is time to say,
That
does
went
anyone
quick.
else have any more questions, comments, concerns, jingles, or interpretive dances?
Names for toucans.
Names for toucans.
Yes. While they're thinking, have you played any games this week?
I tried playing Crusader Kings 3 again.
Yep.
Works great. Boy, I'm bad at that game.
Works great, by the way. Just Jan decided to switch over to Linux a couple of weeks ago, so he's in the world of unknown
3
when it
weeks,
comes
yeah.
to games, but it's been pretty seamless so
Well,
far.
it actually has a. I think it does. Yeah, it has a native client, I think.
I did play a game on Friday, and I can't remember what I played. DST, end early for you across the pond.
Daylight savings, yes, it happened yesterday and I missed it. Which meant all the things that I arranged to do with people in other countries over on the internet, I was off by an hour.
It happens. It happens. Oh,
every country
Satisfactory.
has its own dist,
Yes.
and some countries don't do them, and some states in the US don't do them.
It's a very confusing thing because the children
It's a silly
don't.
thing.
Yeah, the children don't need extra light to go bring in the harvest. Tractors have lights these days, and children don't operate them.
I don't think it was even. I mean, I've had so many different reasons for it, but the main one I heard was to encourage people to spend more time outdoors.
Putting the clock back doesn't do that. It makes it earlier.
Question from Rami. Love the show. Did we get to the next stretch goal? Mikey, did we get to the next stretch goal?
I don't think we have just yet, but we are ridiculously close.
Doo-doo-doo-doo.
When I checked earlier on, I do update the website. So under this link, you can see it updated. I last updated it last week, but there hasn't been any purchases of it since last week. I don't think so. We're still £332 from it. But if we raise the £332, we will enter. It's a good question. Thanks for asking. We will enter the character creation stage.
Yep.
Which should be absolutely phenomenal.
Which is where Mikey's going to have to put together a course to teach you how to make characters. I'm not. I have to do other things, but Mikey has to do that bit. While we're at it, do check out the Godot Jam. Donut. Godot.
Go
This thing.
Godot Jam.
They need a theme song like that. Go-go-do-do-do-do-do-do. The Godot Jam is officially starting this week. The first keynote video was earlier today. Lots of things happening there. And yeah, check out the site. You can see the events. They've listed the first week of events on there. We have one next week. This time next week, I will be, well, whatever this time next week is with Daylight Savings, I will be doing a Making 3D Pretty party. So all about beautifying Godot in 3D.
I'm looking forward to that.
Time frame on Godot 4. I'd say a Rolex maybe, a Timex. 2022. I mean, I'm not working on the actual engine. I don't have that answer.
Soon. Yes, it has
It
been
has
over. I'm looking forward to it if we get there.
Every time you point your finger at me, I want to pull it.
No, don't pull my finger. Nasty things happen.
So yeah, I think that's our show.
Yes, on that fart joke.
I have a master's in education, you know.
Yes, pull my finger.
They used to bring me in when they were having difficulty with teenage boys in other classes because I had the sort of resting, grumpy face that I always seem to have because it's actually quite difficult for me to show emotion effectively because I'm slightly neurodivergent. So they bring me in with these teenagers and I'd just be like, yeah, we're not doing that. It's fine. We're just not doing it.
Stop. Well, yeah. If you feed them, they'll keep at it.
They're not gremlins.
No, that's don't spray water on them either. They're not gremlins. You're quite
I
right.
do have a story I'd love to share, but I can't because YouTube would demonetize us.
So join us over on Discord for the after party.
So yeah, thank you for joining us, everybody, and thank you for your questions. And we're very excited to see what you guys make for game jams and for courses. And keep sending in your samples from Mikey's LEMS course. And hopefully soon we'll get some Blender courses getting for that too, and maybe some concept art courses and some GUI courses. There's so much content coming.
Yeah,
Really
when
excited.
I've heard, on the concept arts, when I've heard back from Paul, I'm hoping to hear from him this week at some point. We'll know more about the character, the concept art.
Shiny.
That's what I meant. Yep. Well, thank you everybody for joining us this evening.
My nose is itchy.
My name's Michael.
Bye.
This has been fun. Bye.